I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and discuss topics we wish we could teach at school.
Don't sound too excited.
I have to bring myself down a notch because I'm so excited. All right, what are we drinking?
We are drinking, of course, a wine box. It's Boda Box, award-winning, and it is a Pinot Noir.
Yes.
Year 2019, so it's the good stuff.
It's aged. It's from a better time.
Yeah, seriously. I miss you, 2019.
I know.
I didn't think I would. Not that like it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was just a hard year. A lot of change going on, like moving across the country.
Yeah.
It was a great year.
It was
overall.
a great year. And like honestly, like I say 2020 is a bad year because everyone says that, but like selfishly for me it was like the best year ever. Like I've been very lucky and in a very privileged spot, so like I've just gotten to hang out at home with my best friend and my boyfriend, and it's been pretty nice.
Personally, I love 2020.
Yeah.
I've been prepping for quarantine my entire life. 2020 has been amazing.
Yeah, for us, but I do feel for everyone who it's been terrible for, and so therefore I'd like it to end.
Right.
Yes.
I would like what's happening to end.
Yes. But I've enjoyed being a stay-at-home girlfriend.
Yeah, right.
That's been really nice.
I've been like, ever since we got cats, I never really understood a cat obsession, but I've been looking at a lot of cat merchandise.
Like what?
Like cat art. Like there's this really cool like vintage black cat like metal piece of wall art that I think I want to get on Amazon. Yeah, so I've been like looking at stickers that have cats on them.
That's a good idea, a sticker.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like I get it now, being a cat mom.
Yeah, totally. It's like why we bought that gigantic wooden cat that sits in our dining room.
I would have never.
No, it's like actually hideous, but I love it.
I
so
know.
much.
What is with that?
It's so strange looking. And remember when we thought it was going to be like $100 and then it was like 15? We're like, this is easily worth $100.
It's like 4 feet tall and it's just like a carved, it's wooden. It's a carved cat and it's painted hideously. We should repaint it.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Let's paint it black like Safety.
I feel like if we paint it black, it'll just look like
let's paint it gold.
Big phallic black thing. Like it won't look like a cat anymore.
Right. We don't want that.
No.
We don't want that. But we can paint it something.
It's very like tall and slender, which is why I say that. Like you wouldn't know it was a cat unless like you saw its like face and stuff painted on it.
But anyway, we buy the shit now.
We digress. Yeah. Yeah. Like the highlight of my week this week was buying a giant litter box and having it fit perfectly into the cat closet.
I could not believe it when you guys walked into the house with that thing. It looks like something for cows.
Yeah,
to drop
it's huge.
In.
It looks like a trough.
Yeah, it does.
The cats love it though, and like it literally fits like a glove. We have like a walk-in closet, not even a walk-in closet, like a coat closet that we made the cat room. So that's what's going on in our lives.
Yeah, that's about it for quarantine. We're about to go into professional development as our teachers are real full-time jobs.
Start a real full-time job. It's going to be crazy. Let's just not talk about it. I'm really scared to go virtual.
I'm sorry we brought it up.
It's going to be a whole lot of work. But anyway, in good news, we made the comedy charts in Denmark last week.
Oh my God. We are international superstars.
We are. I like sent a Snapchat to a couple of my friends and I was like, I'm famous in Denmark, like as a joke. And God bless her heart, my friend Jessie thought I was serious. And she's like, oh my God, like I have a friend in Denmark. I'm going to ask her if she knows who you are. I'm like, no, don't. It's not worth it. She definitely doesn't.
And then once we become actually Denmark famous, then you'll be the girl who cried wolf.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So if you're listening to us in Denmark, thank you.
Yeah. How do you say thank you? And what language do they speak in Denmark?
Danish?
Danish?
I don't know. Probably Danish.
I don't know. I surely do not know.
I have no idea, but thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Nonetheless.
Yeah. Also, last week, this is the first time I was corrected by strangers, but a whole lot of people wanted to tell me that there are, in fact, Kroger's in Washington.
You've been served.
I have been. So I was not aware of this. I knew that Kroger was the parent company to QFC and Fred Meyer, which we have, but I didn't know there were like actual like grocery stores called Kroger. But I stand corrected. Thank you everyone who told me. It was very eye-opening.
It's like, hey, people listen to the podcast.
That's true.
One of my people that I used to work with at Cutco, she messaged me, shout out. Oh my God, I can't even talk. Shout out to Susan Conroy. She sent me a Snapchat of like a Kit Kat. Oh my God, a Kit Kat signage or something. And she was like, look, no hyphen. I was like, oh my God. You listen. So thanks, Susan. I really appreciate it.
It's always exciting when people listen and can say something.
I know.
Yeah.
To comment on it. It means a lot.
It does mean a lot. And you know what else would mean a lot?
What?
If all our listeners voted for us for Best Memphis Podcast.
Oh my gosh, that would mean more than a lot. That would mean the most.
Yeah, it would mean the absolute most. So by the time this episode comes out, voting will be open. And I've never wanted to win anything so badly in my life. So please fucking do it.
Yeah, vote for us for Best Memphis Podcast and vote in the election coming up, the presidential one.
Yes. I'm not sure which one I want you to vote in more. Just kidding.
Both. Porque no los dos.
Yeah. Vote in both, but the link to vote for us for Best Memphis Podcast will be in the show notes and on all our social media. So please stay tuned for that. We really would appreciate it. Please do it.
We would.
And also, speaking of supporting us, I have a Patreon supporter to shout out. Her name is Brianna Anderson of Moxie, Washington, and she is an absolute gem. I've talked to her on Instagram a little bit, and she is lovely. So thank you so much, Brianna. We love you.
Moxie, Washington. That's cute.
Isn't that
Moxie.
cute? I'm from Washington, and I've never heard of it.
Well,
so I don't know.
You've never heard of Kroger either. So
maybe maybe I'm not really from Washington.
You're a transplant. I think you like really should be in California.
I think so too.
Fun fact.
Let's work on that.
Yeah, let's work on that. And fun fact, Kroger is a Cincinnati company.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
I've never had so much fun as I am right now.
Cincinnati's fun. You can ask me firsthand.
I appreciated that fact.
Thank you. Yeah. The headquarters is downtown. They got a big ass building. So
wow.
We probably saw it when we were at the top of Crew Tower.
Yeah, probably.
Amongst the midst of all the other gray buildings in Cincinnati.
Yeah, amidst the wind. Amidst the cold.
Yeah, when we were up there, like we heard a ton of sirens coming from all over, coming downtown. It turns out a building collapsed when we were downtown.
Thankfully, it wasn't the building we were standing on.
So
so that was
not
a fun
really
time.
Something to laugh about, but we were like, what the heck?
Just a building collapse. Sorry, that was so obnoxious.
Gosh,
I have too much
that's
energy.
What they say. You're acting like your kids right now.
I really am. I drank a Red Bull right before this, so
I
that's
thought
where this is
little
coming
coffee
from.
Action. Something really cute happened today.
What?
I was at Tommy's house finishing my notes, and he was like, "Hey, are you still at my house?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Can you go get a package for me? Like it's arrived, so could you just bring it in?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And on the outside of it, I could see like it's a coffee maker. He bought me a coffee maker for my birthday, and
That's
I was like,
so nice.
"Oh, I can see it." Yeah. He's like, "Oh, well, happy early birthday."
It's really nice because I think the one we use at our house was originally his, right?
Yeah. We traded appliances. So his microwave had stopped working and I just had an extra microwave. So I gave him the microwave and he gave me the coffee maker because he doesn't drink coffee, but he had a coffee maker. So I brought it to our house, but now I'm like half and half. His house, my house. So
is this new one for his house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'll be
that's rude
teaching.
Yeah, what if we're like, oh.
Yeah. Regardless, I was going to get a coffee machine over there for the school year.
Yeah,
so
it's important.
Thank him.
Definitely. So we've gotten a few new reviews on Apple Podcasts. So I just want to say thank you so much for all your kind words. And again, if you like this podcast, I really encourage you to please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts because it does really help us. Yeah. Help us get trending in the US. That's what I want.
Right. Denmark is great.
Yeah. Love Denmark.
Let's
it's a great
trend
country.
in all the countries.
Yeah.
How about that?
How about that? But yeah. And yeah, comedy charts are extremely hard to get onto. So I don't really anticipate that happening anytime soon, but it would be cool.
Yeah.
So rate, review, and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. Okay. We breathalyzed. I blew a 0.134.
And I blew a 0.131. Oh my God. I really cannot talk today.
Do you need a minute?
No.
Okay. You can have like a full 35 minutes while I tell my story.
I thought about it. I thought about it for a second. No, I need to interact with you. So I'm going to get it together, and I may just mispronounce a few things because I'm on my second glass of wine. And it was a hefty glass of wine.
It is.
At that. Yeah. So
it's very hefty.
With our bougie night classy wine glasses.
They are bougie. Bougie and boozy, as we like to say. Okay, well, where do I even start with this? So I am going to be teaching about NXIVM. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. Well, before I start, I do want to give a trigger warning / just general disclaimer. This is a lot darker of a story than I usually do. And it does contain a lot of sexual violence, physical violence, and rape. So if that does not interest you, skip to Hayley's story.
Good God, woman. I feel like your story is 75% of the time.
That's not
this
true.
Is much darker.
That's not true. I've been on a streak of lighthearted stories. And so
because you're on a streak of dark-hearted stories before that.
Yeah, that's true. It's time. So, but I haven't really done a cult. I've done the Order of the Golden Dawn, but I don't really consider that a cult. And so I think it's time to get into a cult. And this is a really interesting cult. So my sources are filmdaily.co, The Cut, Wikipedia, NPR.org. I also got a ton of information from this Rolling Stone article by E.J. Dixon. And I also got a lot of info from an episode of the A&E series, Cults and Extreme Belief, which is a really good series. I watched the first few episodes.
Cults are so interesting.
They're interesting, and this one is crazy. So our story starts with a person named Keith Raniere. And Keith was born on August 26th in 1960 in Brooklyn, New York. And a few years later, his family would move out of the city 30 miles away to Suffern, New York, and he ended up attending the Waldorf School from the late 60s to the early 70s. Then he went to public school and middle school. And overall, Keith seemed to have a pretty normal childhood. So his dad worked in advertising. His mom was a dance instructor. They were kind of a little wealthy metropolitan couple. His mom...
Yeah, they're posh.
Yeah, they were posh. His mom had a bit of a drinking problem, but there's not a lot on that. So I imagine it wasn't monumental.
Yeah, it was just the normal level of childhood trauma.
Yeah, it was the 60s. Didn't everyone have a drinking problem?
I would have.
Yeah, me too. So, but despite having this pretty normal upbringing, normal parents, Keith was not a normal child.
Nature versus nurture, man. It really depends.
Yeah, he had some issues. So there's this story when he was about 10 years old. One of his sister's friends told her, quote, compromising information about herself. So his sister's friend was confiding in his sister.
Okay.
About something not good, something about her.
Okay.
And it doesn't say what. And Keith was in the room and he's 10. So she probably didn't know that he couldn't hear it. And so
yeah, your ears only fully develop at the age of 11.
Right, but you wouldn't think that a 10-year-old would be sinister or tell on you.
Yeah, absolutely not.
But according to her, Rainiere told her, or Raniere, sorry, I keep calling him Rainiere. Raniere told her, quote, it's like I have this bottle of poison I can hold over your head. I just don't think your parents or your sister would be very happy if I told them.
I babysat a kid like this once, like for the whole summer.
Really? Like a creepy kid?
Yeah. I had
Ew.
like, he was just uncontrollable, like creepy, and he was very smart, and he's the only child. And I like threatened to call the cops on him one time because I told him to do his homework.
This child?
Yes. And I had to call his mom, and I was like, listen, I'm about to call backup because this is too much.
You almost called the cops on what was he doing?
He was just like having a mental break. And like, I didn't know because I was like 13 years old that like the cops wouldn't have been the right solution for that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, 13-year-olds should not be babysitting troubled children.
He was like screaming and convulsing, all because like I told him he had to do his homework, which is what his mom asked me to tell him to do once he woke up. It was scary. And like he would have said some shit like that.
Yeah. So that's some Keith Raniere shit. So he would also, after this, he'd call her on the phone and say, little bottles, like just reminding her that he like had this thing over her at 10.
I want to know what it was.
Me too. It doesn't say, but yeah, it's probably something dumb. Like they were kids. She's probably,
but either way, she was obviously scared, and it did have an effect on her.
Totally. And so from a young age, Rainiere was a manipulative creep, and this behavior continued. So Rainiere's mother reports dozens of girls calling Rainiere's house during his teenage years, and he would tell them all that he loved them and they were special, and like he just always had all these girls on the hook. And it's like obviously they all weren't special. Like he was just very manipulative. And so we move on to his adult life. And at 24, Rainiere entered a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old girl. And I'm putting relationship in air quotes because this is obviously rape, statutory rape. And so when confronted about this by a friend, he told them that the girl was a Buddhist goddess who was meant to be with him.
Ew.
Yeah. So he had these weird like power obsession things with sex and with women, controlling them. He also had these like illusions of grandeur, like that like having sex with someone was somehow like ordained by God when it came to him. And basically he was just like a big predator and a fucking weirdo.
What does that come from? Like, what makes you that way?
I don't know. Just
why are you the way you are?
Yeah.
Rainiere.
I don't know. He just was.
Probably NPD, narcissistic personality disorder.
Definitely. He definitely had a lot of something like that. And but he's never like diagnosed with that from what I'm aware of. But then we move on to the 1980s. So now Rainiere is in his 20s, and he got involved with Amway, which is a predatory multi-level marketing company. And he was part of Amway while he was also working as a computer programmer. So he was intelligent enough to be a computer programmer. And at the same time, he developed an intense interest in Scientology. And
oh god, okay.
Yeah, so we've got these storms colliding here. Amway, Scientology, manipulating people, like it's just a perfect storm. And so he took what he learned from Amway and Scientology, and he started his own company called the Consumers Byline Inc. in 1990. And this company was soon shut down in 1993 after 20 states launched investigations, and New York sued it over being a pyramid scheme.
Ooh, see? Pyramid schemes are illegal. They'll shut you down.
They will. And they did. So after this, in 1994, Rainiere started a vitamin MLM, but that also ended up failing in 1999. But jump backward, while he was running CBI, the pyramid scheme, he met Tony Natalie, who ended up becoming his long-term girlfriend. And so after CBI failed, him and Natalie opened this health food store and cafe in New York. And so through this health food store, Rainiere met registered nurse and hypnotist Nancy Salzman. Nancy touted herself as an expert in this thing called neurolinguistic programming, which is this pseudoscientific form of therapy that basically uses things like body language and hypnotherapy to help patients overcome personal obstacles. So it's kind of just like this woo-woo thing. She was a hypnotist, and she ended up becoming like very close to Rainiere. And so she would give him and Natalie free sessions in the back of their market to help their relationship. And she just became very close to the couple.
They just need personal help. Not even within the relationship.
Yeah, they need actual psychological help.
Yeah.
And because Rainiere was a freaking mess, Natalie broke up with him in 1999. And so they broke up, and he went off with Nancy Salzman to form the Executive Success Program, which later rebranded itself as NXIVM. But before they started this program, he hacked into Natalie's hard drives, blackmailed her, and filed tons of lawsuits against her as revenge for the breakup.
That is so evil.
So evil. And he did not do this alone. We'll get into it a little bit later, but he had this like circle of really close female confidants that basically just like waged this storm against Tony Natalie.
Attractive physically?
No.
So he just could like charm people.
He was very manipulative. He just had like that cult leader personality.
Yeah.
That, like people just fall for.
Yeah.
He looked very normal. He's pretty short. He's like this white dude with brown hair. Just like an average looking guy.
Ugh.
I guess. He's a little greasy looking.
Yeah.
Will you describe him?
Yeah, so he has like shoulder length hair. It's straight, a bit greasy. He has a beard, salt and pepper. He has glasses, circular glasses.
Oh my God, he's wearing a Pike Place Market shirt in this photo.
Yeah, he is.
Shout out Seattle. What's up?
Don't fall under his spell, Kat.
I already have.
What's done is done. He looks like, what is that movie? Atlantis, It's a movie about Atlantis, like in the early 2000s. It was a cartoon movie, and there's like a character on it like named Mole or something like that.
He does look like he would be named Mole.
Yeah.
I don't know that movie.
Yeah,
but
so does this character. So
all right, well, that's what he looks like. And so he started this company, NXIVM, with Nancy. And oh my God, I forgot about that movie. You're right. He does look like Mole.
We pulled up a picture of Mole.
Yeah. So should I just call him Mole from now on?
yeah.
Mole Rainiere.
Thank you. Mole Rainiere. Mole Neary. Okay, anyway. So basically NXIVM branded itself as this self-help organization. And Rainiere had this title of smartest man alive. So he had once gotten a record score on this mail order IQ test that like later people were like, that is not a legit IQ test.
And he ranked what? Smartest man alive?
Yeah, he ended up in the one edition of the Guinness Book of World Records for this because he scored off the charts. I think it was like 240 IQ.
Based off of one test.
And so he had this title, smartest man alive. And then Salzman had the title of registered nurse, which gave NXIVM credibility. People, they were two impressive people. And people who were pitched NXIVM were told Rainiere was the philosopher behind the group. He had this record IQ. He was a concert pianist. He spoke in full sentences before the age of 3. He was also a judo champion and had degrees in math, biology, and physics. And he was a businessman. And so people thought of him as this selfless humanitarian genius.
You know, the thing that would get me on that is being like a world-renowned pianist. Like
that's what would convince
pianists are
you.
freaking smart. Yeah, I'd be like, the brain power on this one, it's off the charts.
So yeah, he had all these things, and the pianist thing would have drawn you in. And for some people, it was the business thing. For others, it was his IQ. He was just drawing in people left and right.
What drew you in?
His eyes.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely his shoulder length greasy hair. So
I thought you were going to say shoulders, and in the picture he's wearing a t-shirt. I'm like, well, did not take much.
I'm easy. Anyway, so people...
Clearly.
You would know.
Aw. People were drawn in, and they would pay thousands of dollars, sometimes $7,500 or more, for these 12-hour intensives.
Intensives.
They're called intensives. And so these were classes that taught NXIVM's patented executive success program, so ESP technology, which consisted of self-help programs, religious ideologies, and hypnosis techniques. And so you'd go in, you'd take these classes, and the promise was that you'd become a better version of yourself. So NXIVM was basically intense therapy to increase one's success, happiness, and productivity. And it was supposed to help you understand yourself more. So there was a lot of introspection, kind of the breaking down of the self, and then you're able to take things to the next level and become the optimal version of yourself. And so... sounded great.
Yeah, who would not want that?
Right. Yeah, who would not want that? And so the first class you would take was called Rules and Rituals. And so you just learn like the basic rules and rituals of being a NXIVM subscriber. And so one of the rules, you take your shoes off at the door. You called Keith Vanguard. And there's like this ranking system that's very similar to like karate, like around like colored sashes.
Yeah.
And so
let's start this in our house, please.
Taking your shoes off at the door. I didn't know.
Sashes. No. I don't care about the shoes.
I was going to say there's cat litter all over our floor, so that's not going to happen.
But the sashes, the colored leveled sashes, I'm into it.
Who do you think would be the highest level sash?
Me.
Oh. I was going to say me, but that's fine.
Of course you were.
Anyway, so basically... you had like these like therapy sessions where you like are learning to be better. And they were also framed a lot around how things that happen in the course will make you feel uncomfortable. And they would tell you that that's normal. Every time you feel uncomfortable, just raise your hand and one of the NXIVM coaches will come over and help you through it. And being uncomfortable means you're doing it right. So from the very beginning, you're told that discomfort is a good thing. And
I mean, it is. Getting outside your comfort zone can help you grow, but clearly in this instance.
But then it starts to cross a line.
Yeah.
And if you're indoctrinated into these beliefs that being uncomfortable is good,
it's the foot in the door.
It's
and
the
everything
foot in the
else
door.
after that.
And then it just snowballs.
Oh, God. Please
And so... but it was really good for a lot of people. Former NXIVM members say that these courses made them feel amazing. It was basically intensive therapy for 14 hours per day. They found themselves breaking through limitations in their career. They report their friends noticing the change. They say it felt energizing.
People that gives it even more validity.
Yeah. And if you go to one of these seminars and everyone around you is so happy and energized and successful and attractive, it pulls you in. And people found themselves really, truly happy. And there was this image of NXIVM, like as I said, of these happy, attractive, successful people, especially women. And so
this is like selling Sunset.
It kind of is. It's the same thing.
No, but NXIVM, I mean selling Sunset as seen on Netflix.
But low-key, those like weird ass twins that run like that office kind of give me Keith Raniere vibes. Yeah, they're kind of creepy for
they
some.
Are
like I don't want to slander anyone, but I get really weird vibes from them.
Yeah, they're very touchy feely with all the ladies.
They're
in the
so
office.
Creepy to them. I don't like it.
Yeah, Netflix, please don't sue us. I'm sorry.
But do watch Selling Sunset because
it's a good show. I'm not going to say that I
show.
haven't watched almost all of it in the last 2 days.
It's so good. So NXIVM and Rainiere also use this platform to preach his strange ideology, especially ideology around gender. So Rainiere preached that men were biologically more primitive than women and were driven by their biological need to propagate. So men desired multiple partners. That's just the biological reality, according to Rainiere. While women were biologically inclined to be monogamous and be caretakers.
Okay.
So That's what he preached. And there were subgroups under NXIVM. So there were a few examples. There was the Source, which was a group for actors. So they taught actors. So like a big part of NXIVM was he pulled in a lot of influential people. And much like Scientology, he tried to pull in actors to this group to kind of lend it validity.
Do we have any big names here?
We have a few like medium names,
okay,
which I'll get to.
I'll take it.
So there was a group for actors. There was also the Delegates, which was a group run by younger female staff members. And there was Jeunesse, which was a female empowerment group. And so Jeunesse. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Jeunesse. So joining Jeunesse cost $15,000.
Who has $15,000?
Not a lot of people, but like by the time you got to Jeunesse, you were deep in this cult. So you
were probably making
you shelled
money.
out for it. You weren't making any money. You were giving them money, but people just made it work. So for that $15,000, it got you 3 8-day trainings. And
my God.
Jeunesse taught that women were biologically supposed to be monogamous, loyal to their man, and obedient. And in order to be happy, they needed to embrace that biological quote unquote truth. And it also taught the women were prone to shallowness, infighting, and they were flighty and unreliable. And so this was kind of their way of breaking these women down. So they were told, because you're a woman, you have all these negative traits.
Yeah.
And you need us to help you overcome that.
Yeah. And also keeping them in their respective places.
Yeah.
Where they wanted them.
Totally. And so, yeah, they were in their place and they felt like they needed NXIVM. So it's like easy to like think like, why on earth as a woman would you join a group that does that?
Please tell me. Please tell me why.
A lot of it comes down to Rainiere being so very skilled at persuasion. He was able to use corporate feminist like buzzwords to hide his misogyny. So like I said, he branded this as an empowerment group, but really it was the exact opposite. So he had a special way of words where he would kind of talk around things, make you feel like you were being empowered while breaking you down.
That and his looks.
His looks were very persuasive. So
I just wanted to go back to when you were like, is he attractive? And I'm like describing to the audience, you're like, well, he looks like someone named Mole from Atlantis. Not what you want to hear when you're...
I mean... one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Oh, girl, just you wait.
One man's mole is another man's Brad Pitt.
Yes.
Kat looks so sad right now.
It just gets so much worse, you guys.
Oh, no.
So on top of his own, like, crazy persuasion, he used women almost exclusively as leaders. And openly, he claimed this was because women were stronger and smarter and more powerful. But in reality, it was to get more women to join. So if you're a woman and you see a mostly female executive board, with female recruiters, female leaders of these classes, you're going to feel more comfortable joining.
Yeah,
you're going to feel like this is for you.
I'll tell you, it's not just cults that do that.
Yeah.
Females, people just trust them up front.
Totally.
Easier.
Yeah. And so with this strategy, he managed to recruit many high-profile people to NXIVM, including the Seagrams heirs.
What?
Yeah. So he got Sarah, Claire, and Edgar Bronfam. And so Claire became like especially invested, but he got all three to join. And ultimately together, they would end up donating over $140 million to NXIVM.
And we're talking about the fruity, delicious, colorful alcoholic drink?
Yes.
140 million?
Yeah. And so obviously their dad was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. And he starts to notice a dent in the bank account of 140 million.
He's like, what is happening? So this is Edgar Braunfim Sr. And so he ended up taking one of NXIVM's courses because he's like, what the hell are my kids
What's the hoopla
doing?
all about?
Yeah. And he was horrified by what he saw. He declared it to be a cult. Forbes published an expose in 2003. And for this expose, NXIVM members willingly gave interviews to Forbes, assuming it would be a positive article, but they were shocked by the actual outcome that basically called them a cult. And so obviously Rainiere was furious with Braunfim, and from that day on until Braunfim Sr. died, they hacked into his emails and they were all read by NXIVM, and he was blackmailed. And
oh my gosh, so they're pretty powerful at this point.
They're very powerful. They have millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so,
plus.
yeah. So,
At least.
so they were called a cult in 2003, but despite that, they kept gaining steam. In 2006, Smallville star Allison Mack, do you know who that is?
I don't think so.
Yeah, she was, I think, popular at the time. She's the most name recognizable actress they had in this cult, but she was recruited to NXIVM by Lauren Salzman, which was Nancy Salzman's daughter. And so she joined the Vancouver chapter, and according to friends, Allison was someone who was, quote, constantly searching for something missing in her life. So that'll
fill that void.
It filled the void.
Yeah.
She was part, to her, she was part of this movement of successful people.
And I'm sure it feels like family.
Totally.
And you feel good, and boom, you're in a cult.
There you go. Boom, boom, you're in a cult. Title of this episode. So she started taking NXIVM classes to be a better actress. And that was in 2006. And then by 2011, Smallville had ended and she found herself unemployed and just immersed herself deeper into NXIVM. And so by 2015, she was a prominent member, and she was put in charge of a smaller group within NXIVM along with Lauren Salzman called Dominus Obsequious Sororium.
That sounds pretty badass.
It sounds badass, but it roughly translates to master over the slave women.
Can we edit that out?
No. No. It's okay. You didn't know what it meant.
That's like when you get something in a different language tattooed on your arm. And then, on your wedding day.
And it means butthole.
Yeah.
Okay, if a white girl asked me for some Chinese characters and I was a tattoo artist, I would 100% write butthole on her arm. That's what you deserve.
Yeah. I don't know what I would write. I've never thought about it, but I'm glad you came prepared.
My mom, so my grandpa was in the Air Force and he traveled around and he was in some Arabian country. I forget which one, but he got her a necklace that said Stephanie, her name, in Arabic. And for the longest time, she wouldn't wear it because she was afraid that he was playing a joke on her and got some random shit in Arabic as a necklace. And so she had to ask someone that spoke Arabic.
I would be afraid too.
Yeah, my grandpa's a jokester. He would definitely do something like that, but he didn't. Anyway, moving on. So this group was called DOS, or DOS for short. And this was an exclusive group that recruited female members from within NXIVM. And it was pitched by Salzman as a, quote, badass bitch boot camp. So who wouldn't want to join?
That workout group that I get invited to on Facebook every other week.
It's a cult.
Or that other MLM.
Yeah, they're all cults. So group members of DOS gained higher status and more proximity to Rainiere. And the first thing you did before joining DOS was give a lifelong vow of obedience.
Oh my God. That just ruptured a memory. I think I've heard about this on a different podcast.
You may have.
In college, sophomore year. Yeah. So a long time ago.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. You probably have. I'm sure it's been on other podcasts. I haven't heard it on a podcast, but
I think it was a popular who was in it. Yeah. Giving her testimony.
There are a lot of women. So the documentary I watched had women that were in it talking about it. And so You were made to understand that it would be a master-slave relationship between you and your recruiter. But like, don't worry, because it's more like you're a disciple and they're your shepherd. They're going to help you get better. But that's not true. You should worry. So before joining, DOS members had to give their group's leaders nude photos of their shaved vaginas with their faces in the shot, videos of them masturbating, fake confessions that relatives or other loved ones had sexually abused them, and other blackmail material as collateral. So you gave that to your master so that if you disobeyed or left, they had something on you. So you couldn't leave.
This is definitely the one. That's hard to forget.
Yeah, really hard to forget.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Terrible. And like, this sounds like if someone asked this of us, like, it's easy to be like, that's crazy. Like, why would you do this? But within NXIVM, collateral was used often, and it started small. Like, in NXIVM, you might make a goal. Like, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. And if not, like, here's $100. Like, you can have that if I don't go to the gym. And so that was your collateral. And then it gets bigger. One example was, okay, if I don't go to the gym for 3 days a week, I'm going to sleep on the floor every day for 2 weeks. And then like, it just keeps building and building and building.
Didn't some people like put their houses up for collateral?
Probably. That didn't come up in my research, but I'm sure like it just builds as you move through this cult. So once you get to DOS and they tell you, okay, like give me these videos, you don't think anything of it. That's just how it works. And it helps you. It like quote unquote helped you improve your life to this point. So why wouldn't it keep helping you? And so they were also branded with Rainiere's initials and Allison Mack's initials. So there was this like weird stylized thing that like it looked like a KR from one angle and an AM from another angle, and they were branded like right above their vagina, and they weren't told that it was like their initials, but it was. And many women who this happened to, they were told they were getting a tattoo.
What?
Yeah, and they weren't like shown what the tattoo would look like until it was like time for them to get one.
No.
And so they were coerced into this, and before being branded, women would have to say, quote, "Please brand me. It would be an honor I will wear for the rest of my life." And so by saying that way it would look like they were doing it willingly. They were also naked. They were held down on the table by their sisters with their arms over their head and their legs spread apart. And this was all videotaped.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's bad enough going to the gynecologist. I cannot imagine.
Yeah, this is a different level. So getting the brand lasted 40 to 45 minutes.
Whoa, why so long?
It wasn't a stamp. It was done.
Are you serious?
It was done with a cauterizing pen. So if you don't know what a cauterizing pen is, it looks kind of like a pen, and the tip heats up, and it's made to like seal wounds and like kill the bacteria. But basically they would just sear your skin open very, very slowly while you screamed and thrashed, and your quote unquote sisters in this quote unquote sorority were holding you down.
We had one of those when I was in high school. We found it like in one of our like in the storage or something like that. Like it was used for wood burning, but it's like essentially the same thing. Like it will burn wood. Just like it will fuck up your skin.
Right. It burns your skin open. And so women in DOS were told that getting this brand was, quote, character building, and the pain would teach you to distinguish between yourself and your physical body. And there's also a quote from Rainiere that says, quote, "Pain is how we know how much we love. We know the depth of our love through pain. When we feel pain, they think of that love." End quote.
Oh, that's so toxic.
To say the least. So DOS, like NXIVM, had a pyramid structure. So Rainiere was at the top, and he was the only male member, and women in the group would recruit other women to be slaves beneath them. So you were a slave to the women above you, and up and up and up. And so the group was billed as a mentorship program to new recruits. They were not told they would be branded. They were also not told that Rainiere was in charge of the group. Instead, they were told it was a sisterhood of feminists who would help them build discipline and embrace their sexuality.
Was there anything like this for the male species in this cult?
There was a fraternal organization, but it was not like this at all.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was not at all the same.
Of course.
And so, like, I didn't even talk about it because they didn't have to do jack shit. So anyway, the reality was that these women were becoming slaves for their masters. They were totally under their thumb with the collateral they had given them. They were made to run errands, do chores. They read NXIVM materials. They had to respond to their master's texts within 60 seconds. Day or night didn't matter. And they were kept on strict low-calorie diets. They were woken up in the middle of the night for readiness drills. And they were told to abstain from sex with anyone but Rainiere. And
sorry, I don't know why it's such a strong reaction to that.
Well, because
like,
that's disgusting.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah,
it is disgusting.
And so some of them were even recruited as sex slaves for Rainiere.
Ooh.
So they were just like, you were at the mercy of your master.
Did he have children?
No, not that I know of. And so their master would be for delivering a sex slave to Rainiere, they would be rewarded by him financially and with higher status. So you were always just trying to gain his favor at the expense of these women you were recruiting. And so Rainiere's sex slaves were forced to starve themselves, pose for nude photos. They were groomed to be the perfect sex slaves for Rainiere. And if they resisted or broke the group's policies, their collateral could be released, or they could be punished. They were often physically beaten. They were paddled naked, videotaped, and that was sent to Rainiere. They could also be locked in literal cages and solitary confinement. Some women were locked up for years. Yeah. And so Rainiere...
I just have no words. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
there's
wish I
not
could
words.
react.
It just escalated and escalated and escalated until you end up with like this horrible scenario. And you look at Rainiere, who looks like the fucking mole from Atlantis, and you're like, how did this happen? But he was just that manipulative. And
it's
so
crazy that people are born with that in them. Like as a 10-year-old, he was already.
Exactly. It started from a young age. He just had this evil in him. And Rainiere was not satisfied with DOS as it was. He had big visions for this group. His ultimate goal was to create a worldwide network of female quote-unquote slaves and quote-unquote masters. And he hoped to recruit celebrities like Emma Watson, Beverly Mitchell, and Jill Filipovic. None of those women were ever convinced, but that was his like ultimate goal.
He said that?
Yeah, I think so, according to this article. And so women of DOS were not the only ones Rainiere forced into sexual relationships. Rainiere also, from even before NXIVM and then all throughout NXIVM, had kept a tight circle of powerful women around him, who he called his girls, which is disgusting. And the women in this group all tended to look similar. They were in their early 30s to mid 40s, dark-eyed, well-dressed, very, very slim. Rainiere tightly controlled what they ate, which was usually just carrots and squash. And he weaponized their insecurities around their weight as a way of maintaining control. And Rainiere went out of his way to find people who would be more vulnerable to be under this control. Most of the women in his group were privileged, attractive, educated, but most of them were lacking financial independence, street smarts, confidence, and strong family ties. A lot of these were rich women that had lived under the control of their parents for much of their lives. And so he kind of offered them freedom when in reality, he was just bringing them under his control.
Yeah, just transferring it.
And so within this inner circle, sex with Rainiere was prized as a way of gaining spiritual enlightenment.
What did they gain from that?
I'll tell you. So sex with Rainiere was billed as a way for him to transfer his godlike energy to you. And Rainiere...
Not once.
Not even once. So Rainiere even claimed that women who swallowed his semen would sometimes see an ethereal blue light.
That's how he feels after a woman swallows his semen.
Yeah. It's just so horrific. So, and when a woman wouldn't have sex with him, he would say like, oh, you're not committed to your personal growth. And a lot of people bought into that because they were so entrenched in this cult. There's no understanding until you experience this, I think. Like just the level of control this guy had. And aside of using them for sex, Rainiere also used this group to control other women. So when one woman from this inner circle wanted to leave, the others would bring them back in. And their job was also to go after enemies of Rainiere, including journalists, defectors, and Rainiere's ex-girlfriends. So if you remember what I said in the beginning about Tony Natalie, how she was blackmailed and there were all these like court cases brought against her for years, this was the workings of Rainiere's inner circle. So these women were doing his dirty work. And
what could these other women have against his ex? Like what?
They would just do whatever Rainiere said. He was a god to them.
So like they'd say like, do you have any idea like what these court cases, what the allegations were?
I don't know. I think he would just sue them over and over again for silly things. But because he had so much money from like the Seagrams, the Seagrams heirs and like all the other people giving him money, he could just afford to run them through the ringer until they were bankrupt and their reputation was ruined. And so he did obviously so many horrible things. Sexual coercion, rape, and mutilation were not the only things Rainiere did and his accomplices did in NXIVM. Rainiere also conned people out of thousands and millions of dollars. He has been accused of conducting horrific psychological experiments on unsuspecting members. And for all of this, he was eventually taken down. So minor scandals from from the time they were declared a cult in 2003 to 2009 continued happening. But shit really hit the fan when a collection of high-ranking NXIVM members and officials stepped down. And
that's how you know shit's going down.
Yeah, shit really went down. So many of those members were from DOS. So they witnessed the violence that was going on. Some of them were even branded, and that was the final straw. So they stepped down. Others were starting to realize NXIVM had cult-like practices and were abusing their followers. So they stepped down. And a New York Times article was also published that quoted former NXIVM coaches, who were referring to students as prey for Rainiere to use for his satisfaction. So
the truth is coming out.
The truth came out that like basically within this self-help group, there was like human trafficking going on using his followers and bringing them to him. So And so around this same time, his ex Natalie filed a case against Rainiere for multiple counts of rape during their relationship. And by 2017, former NXIVM employee Frank Parlato published a series of articles about DOS on his website. And then allegations against DOS made it to the New York Times, which published an investigation into DOS and used photos of Edmondson showing her brand. And so later that year, then a 2020 expose came out interviewing former members of DOS, and NXIVM members and the public alike were shocked to hear about DOS, because if you were just a normal member of NXIVM, you had no idea about DOS. You were just going to therapy and like being taught how to work harder. And then all of a sudden there's this like sex cult in the middle of it that's taking advantage of all these women and mutilating them and keeping them in basements.
You had no idea how far you could go.
You had no idea.
Or get dragged into.
Right.
Really.
A lot of them had no idea. Even high-ranking members, like NXIVM's co-founder Nancy Salzman, had no idea. She was horrified, and her own daughter was a leader in DOS. And so Nancy found out that her own daughter was branded and being used by Keith Raniere. And not only that, but Lauren was a leader. So she was bringing more and more women in to be used by Rainiere. So she was allegedly blindsided. I don't know how much she knew or if she was turning a blind eye.
Yeah.
But according to the sources I read, she had no idea. And so Rainiere retaliated against the accusations. First, he claimed he had nothing to do with DOS and he wasn't aware of that. Obviously, it wasn't true because the whole point of DOS was to give him women to take advantage of. And then after it was like clear that he did know about DOS, he started saying that reporters were misogynistic and shaming DOS women for their alternative lifestyles. So again, he uses those buzzwords to make something that like is harmful for women seem like female empowerment.
Yeah, he gets them all hyped up for something they actually believe in.
Yeah.
His motives are actually behind it all.
Exactly. And so luckily most people did not buy this and NXIVM's members began to leave, but his inner circle stayed strong. Even after the FBI began investigating and Rainiere fled to Mexico, DOS was still active and he was still communicating with them. But luckily in 2018, Mexican federales arrested Rainiere at the mansion he was hiding in. And Mac, Lauren Salzman, her mother Nancy Salzman, bookkeeper Kathy Russell, and Claire Bronfman.
Lord. A millionaires.
Yes. She was a millionaires. She was the Seagram's heir. So they were obviously. And so they would all be arrested and they all entered guilty pleas and stood trial with Rainiere. But despite all of this, NXIVM still has members to this day.
How?
Because these members believe that the good Rainiere did in their lives outweighs the bad that he did, which is obviously like preposterous.
Oh my
and disgusting.
God. That's like people being like, but Trump is good for the economy.
Right. It's really like that.
It's just locker room talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh God, it's so gross. But so like, and I mean, NXIVM did, like, I'm not saying that the good outweighs the bad, but for a lot of people, it did do good in their lives. NXIVM members who left the cult still credit NXIVM for helping them in a variety of ways. One former member claims that NXIVM taught her to forgive her parents. Another praises Salzman's skills as a therapist. One man says he overcame his stage fright in the group. And because NXIVM touched so many people's lives in a positive way, they were able to hide the horrible things they were doing and keep loyal followers who helped them cover it up. So it was by doing a little bit of good, they were able to do all these horrible things for so long. And
damn.
Yeah, damn.
And like for all the things that were good for their lives, it's not worth it for these awful things. And,
No,
they didn't know that. But like, you need to denounce at a certain point.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely not worth it. And like the people that are still hanging on are the minority, but there are still people hanging on. But on June of 2019, Keith Rainiere was convicted on all charges, including sex trafficking, forced labor conspiracy, human trafficking, multiple counts of racketeering, and sexual exploitation of a child. And his actual sentencing has been postponed again and again and again. But with this conviction, it's safe to assume that he will be in jail for a long time.
Yeah, enter the slow clap because
finally,
once again, damn.
Yeah, damn. So that is the story of a gigantic piece of garbage on the bottom of our shoe. The mole from Atlantis, Keith Rainiere. The end.
Thank you. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
All right, let's do it.
And we'll
I
be
need
back.
a brain break.
All right, so we may not be able to go out to the bars and drink during COVID-19, but we can order ethyl ambrosia.
Yes, ethyl ambrosia is the best vegan gel shot on the market. It has a patent pending push-up cup, so you don't have to get your hands dirty, your tongue dirty, your face dirty. It just scoops right up into your mouth.
Scoop them.
Scoop them. They're so good. They come in the best flavors like Moscow Mule, Mojito, Rosé, Citrus Punch. It is delicious and it looks freaking cute.
Y'all, it's bad and bougie, boozy and bougie. It's all of the above.
So go to ethelambrosia.com and enter our promo code NIGHTCLASSY15 for 15% off your order. Or use our other promo code NIGHTCLASSYBOGO, B-O-G-O, for buy one, get one 50% off. And the links will be in our show notes. Hayley, did you know I'm a world-class Olympic athlete?
No, you never told me this.
Well, I'm not, but if I were, I would eat Build Bar.
Okay, you know what? I think I would too, since, they have marine collagen, they have 16 grams of protein, they help you be beautiful and gain muscle mass. They're just amazing.
Yeah, hair, skin, nails, and muscle. What more could you ask for? If you want to try Build Bar, it tastes delicious, makes you feel delicious. And, it's owned by female CEOs just like us. So go to buildbar.com and then use promo code NIGHTCLASSY for 10% off your order. That is BYLDBAR.com.
All right. Imagine a world without remote controls, robotics, computers, and smartphones.
Okay. I'm picturing when I was a kid and we had to get up from the couch to change the channel because my family was too cheap to buy a TV or the remote.
Oh God, the inconvenience.
It was horrible.
There's no way we would have made it through quarantine without these things.
What would I do?
This is a world not only just simply without electronics, but a world without Nicola Tesla.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I am going to educate you on the wondrous life of Nicola Tesla and the fierce competition of the century, maybe a lifetime, between him and Thomas Edison.
Yay! I love this.
So buckle up, bitches, because my time machine is taking us back to the 1800s.
Some petty ass smart bitches.
Yeah, super smart. I don't even understand it. But first of all, I just need to state that Tesla was handsome and my boyfriend looks like him. So just...
Wow, he actually really does look like Tommy.
Just like Tommy.
If Tommy did his hair like that.
Yeah.
Wait, when we do the episode promotion, can we gel Tommy's hair like that?
Oh,
Put
I'm
it in
sure
black
he'd be
and
willing.
white and say it's Nicola Tesla.
He'd be all about that. We'll have to take it on his fancy bougie camera. Yeah. We'll make it happen.
Okay.
Can you call his penis a Tesla coil from now on?
God damn it.
no.
That was already a joke.
Oh, no.
Love that though. Yes. We'll get to that later on. See which one is better, Alex or mine. All right. But anyway, on to the objective facts. Tesla was born July 10th, 1856.
1856.
It was wet.
Get a bucket and a mop. We're in 1856.
For this wet ass sink. So he was born in the military front of Austria-Hungary, which is now Croatia. And okay, it was said that first of all, he was born at midnight, which is already a creepy detail. But second of all, he was born during a storm and a lightning struck during his birth.
Electricity, bitches.
It's electric. The midwife is quoted as saying, "He'll be a child of the storm." And his mother replied, "No, of light."
Oh, wow. Odds that actually happened.
Right. He came in like a lightning bolt. So he actually did come from a long line of inventors. And it's believed that he had here's my pronunciation issues. Idaic memory.
Didactic?
That's not it.
I don't know.
Idaic. Fuck.
Alec, help us.
I don't know.
Basically a photographic memory.
Okay.
It's the same thing. And he did learn 8 different languages.
Holy shit.
So he's smart as hell. He graduated early from grade school and he's super smart. Now at 5 years old, his older brother did pass away in like a traumatic horse riding accident. Tesla watched it happen. Some speculate that like Tesla actually accidentally spooked the horse and caused it to happen.
I mean, imagine being like a little boy, like playing with your brother on a horse. Like,
yeah, who knows what could happen.
Do you know what happened?
Basically, it like threw his older brother off and he died. I don't know the exact like cause of death, but
is horrific.
He died, and you know, as it does, this trauma stuck with Tesla for life. After that, he started seeing flashes of light and these images that would come with this light, and his imagination started to blend with real life, and it was kind of hard for him to discern between the two. Now, later on, Tesla stated that his ideas for his inventions would come to him the same way, with these like flashes of light, totally complete. And he could also work out problems with his inventions. Maybe they were incomplete, but he could use his imagination without ever even doing it physically in real life, and then just create a perfect product.
See, this makes me think that like everyone's a simulation except for Tesla, and they're just like seeing what the mind can do.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like pre-planned, you know?
What is interesting is that, and we'll get to this much later on, or actually we won't, I'll just talk about it now. Like when he died, his stuff was all taken up by like, dang it, I forget what the service is called in the US, but like basically unknown like alien services. Like they all have his research, all of his documents. Like none of it was like really released to the public. So
when he died, an unknown government agency went in his house and took everything, right?
Yeah. I forget what it was called. I should have written down in my notes. That's again another thing that was like, I'll remember this, but I don't.
It always happens.
So he was like practically superhuman, but although despite being superhuman, he did contract cholera in 1873. He was bedridden for 9 months, and they were like pretty certain he was not going to survive. But if he did, in a moment of complete desperation, his father promised to send him to engineering school if he saw it through. And so Tesla perked up and was ready to defeat cholera. He went to engineering school. But before doing so, he actually spent, a couple years hiking around in the mountains, evading a 3-year mandatory commitment to the military. So he literally would have rather roam the mountains than join the army.
Same.
I can't blame him.
Imagine if there was a draft and they told you had to be in the military. I would do just about anything
I'm a
to avoid
girl
that
now.
Yeah. I'm a literally anything. I'm a break my own legs girl before I do that. Like props to anyone that can do that, because I will not.
Girl. So eventually when that timed out, in 1875, Tesla began university at the Austrian Polytechnic School in Graz on scholarship. Now, I don't know about you, but my freshman year was a total wash. Like, it was a wreck. This was not the case for Tesla. He freaking rocked it out. Like, he never missed a class.
I had to credit, no credit. Like, half of my classes freshman year because I could not function.
I changed my major because I couldn't get into my cohort.
I didn't even have a major.
My major was party.
My major was depressed slumber because I could not
goes
adjust.
hand in hand with party, girl.
It's true. It was a cyclone of self-destruction.
Yeah, and I think this is the same for a lot of different people. Alec?
I had a great time.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Oh, yeah.
My GPA did not.
No, it was high highs and low lows for sure. Yeah.
So Tesla, like the human superhero that he is, he never missed a class. He achieved the highest grades possible. This was not the same for his second year. He got in a actual dispute with one of his professors over the Graham dynamo, which is like mechanical stuff that I'm not even going to get into. But basically Tesla was like, it would work better with this mechanic, method.
He was one
and
of
his
those.
professor was like, no, it wouldn't. But like Tesla was right. But
Yeah.
still, it was a dispute.
Yeah.
And so eventually he ended up taking up gambling. He ended up losing his scholarship. And by his third year, he dropped out completely.
Because he was gambling so hard?
He was freaking partying. He was arguing with professors. He was smarter than everyone. Why would you even need university?
Yeah, fuck that.
So after dropping out, Tesla goes to Slovenia, where he works as a draftsman in an engineering firm. And he spends his free time in a pub playing cards and such. We can only guess what he was doing in a pub. But
sipping water. And
a lot
studying.
of water. That clean water. That clean in 1877.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Now, in 1879, some Karen reported Tesla for not having a residential permit for Slovenia.
What? How did she even know?
She's a Karen. I don't know.
Okay.
She's a rat.
She is a rat. So he was in Slovenia. Where did he have citizenship?
Austria-Hungary.
Okay.
So he was returned home.
Okay.
To Austria-Hungary. And so from there, Tesla's uncles funded his move to Prague, where he attended courses at Karl Ferdinand University, but he arrived too late and his credits didn't transfer. So he did go to classes, but he never actually got credits because he wasn't enrolled as a student.
I always wonder about that because college is so expensive, but like if you just get your hands on the syllabus, all the required reading, and you can just sit in at pretty much any lecture, like without the professor noticing.
Yeah.
Like you could get the same education for free.
I don't know why you would. No, just kidding. Education is very important.
Like it is very important, but like you're paying for the degree. You could get the same information by like just going.
Right. And in the late 1800s, that's what did it.
Easy.
It worked. Yeah. And that was really his dedication to learning. Now, he also started working at a telegraph office where basically he went in and nothing was working. So as the super genius he is, he just fixed everything and all the equipment and saved the place from shutting down.
All right.
Now, during this whole time, Tesla had been struggling to find out how he can make something called AC, not like air conditioning. This is alternating currents technology work. And he even has a mental breakdown over it. Like he just can't seem to solve it. But all of a sudden on a walk, the solution comes to him in 1882. Now, it's still a long time before it's appreciated, but later that year, he does take a job in Paris. So he's like moving on up in the world, and he's working for the Continental Edison Company. So he's like a big boy league now, right?
Big boy. No, he's a daddy.
Not quite.
God, every episode.
Now, actually, that could be impossible because rumor has it he died a virgin.
There's no fucking way.
Celibate AF. Oh, he had like 300 plus patents out. Like there was no time for foolishness.
There's always time for sex.
Not for Tesla.
Okay.
But then again, what do I know? Now, after working in Paris and France, Tesla arrived in America in 1884. This is basically just the classic story of immigration, really. He arrived with like 4 cents to his name and a shit ton of ambition.
4 cents?
Yeah, 4 cents. So probably like
I mean, that's more than I have.
$50
so. Okay.
back then. I don't know. Or for now, it's more than you have. We just got paid today, girl. What is he doing?
I have negative money from my loans.
Oh, yeah. Your net worth. I feel.
Yeah.
I feel. Maybe we can.
So he was doing real well with 4 cents. Good
Yeah, he was
glad
doing
to hear.
great.
Glad to hear someone's doing better than I am. It's
college
always
educated.
always a good feeling.
Right. So he's coming into America hot. He goes right to Edison. Now, later on, he found out this was a big mistake. Huge. Hindsight is always 20/20, but nonetheless, Edison personally employed the young chap. Now, Edison, of course, we all know him for inventing the first electrical light bulb available on the commercial market. But there was an issue with this invention. There was no way to make it light up in the homes of Americans and honestly people all over the world. So he was shit out of luck. What a stupid idiot.
This is a big sidetrack, but I just have this like deeply buried childhood memory that I want to know if anyone else relates to. Do you know the band They Might Be Giants?
Vaguely.
They had like a children's album where there was a song that went, "The Edison Museum, not open to the public." And it was like the scariest song.
I don't remember that. Maybe we should
about like the ghosts in the Edison Museum, and it was so scary. It really scared me throughout my whole childhood.
The Edison Museum is his estate.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah, we went there.
Yeah. And
not you and I.
No.
Me and my family. Back, when I was a kid.
What city is it in?
Charlotte?
Because in the song, it's like on to the streets of Bravik or something like that.
Maybe not. He was big in New York, so maybe I'm thinking of someone else's estate that we went to.
But it was this song that was really scary. So DM us on Instagram if you remember that song, because I was traumatized by it.
Yeah, please do. And I mean, honestly, Edison was super fucking rich, so he had multiple places.
There are probably a lot of Edison museums.
Yeah,
like
probably.
there's not just one.
So I don't know if you recall or not, but Tesla was all about this AC.
AC, DC.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Tesla is AC, Edison is DC. Mm-hmm. Edison's solution was to use this DC power. It stands for direct current. And basically his objective was to get every house in America hooked up so he could get them lit.
Yeah.
So this solution also required an electrical plant on every block.
That's a lot of electrical plants.
Not ideal. And they tried out everything, and the DC generators, they were fragile, probably similar to his masculinity, and they were super prone to fuck up and break down. Cool. Fuck it up, break it down. And so Edison goes to Tesla, his newest employee, and he's like, "Hey, bro, I'll give you a nickel if you tickle my pickle. And by nickel, I mean 50 grand. And by tickle my pickle, I mean this huge, seemingly impossible problem that I can't figure out."
And then Tesla was like, "Oh, thank God."
Pretty much. And by the way, 50 grand was $1.3 million in today's terms. So Tesla's like, "Come here, daddy. Let me get that money, baby.
Baby. Give me that money."
Imagine if you were allergic to not technology, to electricity. Both. Imagine.
I think Night Classy did an episode on that.
Yeah, we did.
So Tesla agrees, but he also tries to talk to Edison about AC electricity. He's still trying to make it happen, but Edison is like, "Stop trying to make AC electricity happen. It's not going to happen."
So you told me you wrote your notes at like 4:30 a.m. and I can tell. Yeah, you had a lot of fun with this and I enjoy it.
I'm really glad you did. Or you do. Fuck.
It's so good.
I'm glad. I got up super early today, not by choice. Never by choice am I getting up super early. So I'm going to break down the quick differences between direct current versus alternating current. So Edison's DC electricity, it has one voltage level. It's delivered going only one direction. It's through a power line. And if you remember, it requires an electrical plant on every block. And
imagine thinking that was a good idea.
I mean, for the time, people were just using gas lamps to light their houses. So it was a fine idea.
Yeah.
But when you have something so revolutionary such as Tesla's AC, which it can change direction, it can change voltage with the use of transformers, and the change in direction allows the currents to travel hundreds of miles without losing power. So you don't need to have an electrical plant every block.
I still don't understand what electricity is. Just
makes it go boom.
Honestly, is that bad to admit? I've never understood. It's been obviously explained to me so many times. That's like I still don't get it.
What I was talking about earlier. So one of his like big famous things, Alec is like rethinking his whole life right now.
Alec is about to break up with me.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I can't really explain it either. I think like maybe static has something to do.
So movement creates energy. But I don't understand. I just don't get it.
Electricity, from what I understand, is energy in a like some type of wave form.
Hayley, don't pretend you understand any better than
I read a lot of stuff today, so I'm trying to remember. Like, I'm trying to use my eidetic, whatever the fuck it is, memory that I don't have to remember what it said.
So, like, with the amount of times though it's been explained to me and all our other listeners, I think it's time for some of us to just accept that it's witchcraft and we're never going to understand.
Yeah, it's witchcraft, and Tesla is our big wizard daddy.
Yeah. That's his official title.
That's that on that. So, obviously, for this time
big
period,
wizard daddy. Write it down.
Tesla's alternating current had clear advantages. And so, like, there were some issues with Edison, though. Like, first of all, it's claimed that Edison was just, like, inept. Like, he didn't understand the math behind it. So, therefore, he didn't understand the benefits of AC over DC. And then, I mean, same. But, yeah, I can't.
I'm not laughing at Thomas Edison. Let's just say that.
But also, Edison was just too greedy to want to understand AC because he already owned all the patents to DC power. So it was kind of like he was in too deep in a bad way for Tesla.
Yeah.
Like, he just wanted things to keep going DC. So it wasn't that big of a deal. Tesla got to work, and within a couple of months, he has the DC generators up and running without any issues. But it turns out Tesla got for real, because when he brought up this agreement, he was like, hey, man, so like I fixed all your generators. We agreed on $50,000. And so cash or check. And Edison's like, oh, you thought I was being serious? That is so cute. I was just joshing with you. You just don't get American humor.
Cute.
Yeah. And so, like most, Tesla was like, screw that.
Yeah.
So he stopped working for Edison, disgusted by his greed, and he ventured out on his own. So he struggled for a long time. Tesla still had his theory that alternating current electricity would work much better than Edison's DC electricity. So he was really set on making that work. But this theory was unproven, and it went against the ideas of one of the most famous, greatest inventors of the time.
Yeah.
And ever, to be honest. Like, as great as Tesla is, and I'm biased, like, I'm team Tesla all the way. Edison did a lot of shit too.
He did.
So people were just unsure. They were not interested in this AC work. And Tesla ends up digging ditches just to make enough money to survive.
Can you imagine that being your reality?
My great-grandfather dug ditches. And I don't know what it's like, but I know he did it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he
For
was
what?
a tall mother trucker. He was like 6'7" or something like that.
Like, what were the ditches for?
I don't know. It was in Oklahoma. I think they were probably still underdeveloped in the times that, like, because it was like when my grandma was a young child. She was born in 1932. So, and maybe even before then. So, I mean, late 1920s, you're just doing whatever you can.
You're just digging.
You're digging
it's
to dig.
Before the age of the backhoe. You're the backhoe.
Man, I know what that feels
what a
like.
time.
Always hurts to hear that one. Oh, God. So Tesla was in the same boat. He was digging ditches, fucking bitches. Just kidding. He was celibate. But anyway.
He probably had time to fuck bitches while he was being a backhoe.
He didn't, though. He was still working on all of this work. He had enough rebellion in his system and the wits in him to just fucking fight the status quo. So years go on of him, digging ditches, but also working on his AC stuff when he eventually develops a motor that works better and is cheaper than the ones that Edison's DC current is using.
Mm-hmm.
When
How
you know
the
it?
turntables.
How the turntables. And wouldn't you know it, one day, his millionaire fairy godfather, or should I say goddaddy?
Goddaddy, I was just about to say it
my
for you.
God.
Father, son, holy goddaddy.
Alec loves when we say daddy.
Well, you guys say it like 100 times per episode. It's only getting worse.
That's like within the last 3 episodes.
It's getting worse because you have such a visceral reaction every time we say daddy. We like it.
Well, we had our first celebrity guest, and you guys told him that I call him daddy. Or something like that.
You never said that was off limits.
Yeah.
So
you never denied it.
I call him doctor because I respect him.
But you call him Dr.
Daddy,
Marcus, which is a stone's throw from calling him daddy. Okay, moving on.
I call him doctor because I respect him. I call him daddy because I want to
Because I love him.
disrespect him. I love him.
Yours was better. Yours was better.
Thank you. Oh man, that was one of those times where I just started a sentence and it ended up working out. I had no plans. Okay. Anyway. So Tesla's millionaire fairy godfather, George Westinghouse. Remember the name.
Westinghouse. I can remember that.
Oh, Westinghouse.
George Westinghouse. I'm sorry.
That's exactly how they said it in the recorded interviews. You're nailing it. So Westinghouse shows up. Westinghouse. He got his riches from his invention of air brakes on trains, which is like a huge thing because they would crash is what happened before.
People were so stupid.
Okay, as we're talking about like freaking Tesla and his 8 languages.
And I don't understand electricity.
What is electricity? No, I could not agree more. People are so stupid. Thankfully, we're not one of them.
Yeah.
In comparison. So Westinghouse, he was a big boy player in the electric game and just with trains in general, but like not in a weird way. So Westinghouse likes what Tesla has going on.
Ooh.
So Westinghouse is like, hey, let me use your motor and I'll hire you as a consultant, making $55,000 per month plus royalties. What do you say?
And we're sure he was celibate?
I mean, not in my imagination.
Okay.
Probably not in his either, but
Okay.
It's kind of hard to confirm or deny his
right.
celibacy.
Okay.
So anyway, Tesla is like, yeah. And Tesla and Westinghouse pair up and make AC currents happen. Edison is pissed. The war of currents begins, and the two modes of electricity are at war. The literal light at the end of the tunnel is light, bringing...
I feel like everything in Hayley's life has like culminated in this story. You were having the best time.
This is gospel. And so literally like the prize is bringing light to the entire world, like into their homes.
True.
And that's crazy. Like I said before, they're only using candles or gas lamps. And so not only was it this, but a ton of money, a ton of fame. Tesla didn't really care about that fame or money, but just inventing and experimentation was his game. And light was the fame. That was not planned, but anyway. So a major win came for Tesla and Westinghouse at the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago in 1983. So
1983. No.
No. Yeah. Okay. I had 5 numbers typed here and I was just, okay, I had 5. It said 19,893.
AC/DC was at the top of the charts.
We're time traveling, baby.
Can we please leave that in?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, cool.
So that was wrong, and I'm willing to admit it. I have the maturity. So the actual World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago was in 1893. Turns out.
Oh, never would have thought.
News to me. So a major win happened there. Like, they had big dick energy. This happens when Westinghouse bids to be one of the one to light the exposition, which has never been done before. And he wins, quoting a cool $1 million using AC currents. In comparison, Edison was asking for $2 million.
How much was $1 million back then?
I don't fucking know.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know, probably like 10 million. It was a lot of money.
Shit ton.
Yeah. So Edison was not happy. He went to court on the premise that the bulbs Tesla was using were in violation of his patents. Edison did win, but Tesla and Westinghouse were like, swerve. We're going to make our own bulbs.
Mm-hmm.
So they did. And so the first World Fair was powered by electricity that was lit up by nearly 100,000 Westinghouse lamps powered by Tesla's AC currents. It was lit. And once again, Edison was pissed. So basically, Edison had a meltdown after this. He starts a campaign against Tesla and his newfound success. Edison publishes pamphlets with a bunch of slander saying that AC power is dangerous. And if that wasn't far enough and inaccurate enough, Edison paid school children 25 cents, which I don't know how much that is now, probably like $5 or $10. But
I mean,
anyway,
if we're going by the last thing you said, it would be like $25.
Thank you.
Yeah.
$25.
Okay.
He paid school students $25 in today's terms. Don't quote me on that.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
And he was paying them to bring him house pets. And so from there, Edison's
pets?
like dogs. So Edison's associates took these house pets to the streets of New York where they electrocuted dogs, horses, and even an elephant to show how dangerous AC currents were.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah. And it also makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, electricity is electricity.
Yeah.
I think, again, don't quote me on
Yeah. Again, it's witchcraft, but pretty sure it's all the same.
Right. And so it's just a shit fuck, basically.
Yeah.
And so Edison also promoted the idea that the electric chair was super dangerous, and it was like
isn't that the point?
It is, but like it was in the light that like only AC electricity was working the electric chair. Oh my gosh. And so it got people really scared about the idea of AC currents. But honestly, at this point, Edison was fighting for a lost cause. Tesla ignored that bullshit and kept on keeping on. So at this point, it was clear like electricity was going to be in the homes of millions very soon. But the big question was, would the Niagara power plant be powered by AC or DC? Or would they make a band? Just kidding. So this guy, Lord Kelvin, he was like in charge of making decisions, basically. And so he was on board for Edison's DC current. But after seeing the AC technology at the World Fair, he flip-flopped and contracted Tesla and Westinghouse to use their technology for this major revolutionary Niagara Falls power station. And so I won't get into the mechanics of it because honestly it's kind of boring, but they made it happen, and the plant opened on August 5th, 1895, and it supplied electricity to Buffalo, New York, and eventually New York City, over 300 miles away, which is crazy for these times.
Yeah. Crazy for my brain. in current times.
Yeah. I don't even know how, like, I can't even run 300 miles. How am I going to get electricity to work?
Yeah.
So that kept on from 1895 until 1961. Now, this project was not cheap. What do they say? Good electric ain't cheap and cheap electric ain't good.
Yes.
So at this point, we're really entering the period of robber barons, and people are just swiping up corporations and buying them out as fast as possible. And the Westinghouse Corporation was really just trying to stay afloat financially. So Westinghouse reaches out to Tesla and is like, hey man, times are tough. I know I said that I could continue paying you 55 grand per month and a bunch of royalties, but could we scale it back for now? And then, like, we'll resume once we recover. And Tesla, like the angel he is, he historically tore up the contract and gave up what would have been $330 million in today's money.
What an angel.
I know.
Like, so sweet.
He really did not care about money. I can't relate, but...
Speaking of today's money, I crunched the numbers. So 1 million back then would equal 28 million today.
Why is there math on your paper? You can just put that into a
He's
calculator.
an old
Oh,
soul.
I'm sorry. I'm crunching the numbers with a pen and paper.
There are literal inflation calculators online where you don't have to do any math.
Oh my God. And so he paid the kids 5 cents?
25 cents.
25 cents? Okay, I'll get back to you.
Okay, great. Anyway.
And that's why...
And that's that on that.
You don't do math, kids. Even though I'm a math teacher. You should do math. You should do math.
You use math every day.
Math is great.
But you should use resources.
Yes.
So there you go.
If you don't have to do the math, why do the
so
Problem
25
solving.
cents is worth $7.20 today. So he's paying the
Okay.
minimum wage.
math? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, to trade in your pet to be electrocuted on the street.
That's fucked up.
We've all
Yeah.
done it.
Okay, Edison sympathizer.
Okay, get away from my fucking cats. You're kicked out.
Anyway, Westinghouse, thankfully, he was able to stay afloat and eventually bought the AC patent from Tesla in 1897. And that was for $216,000. I already calculated it. It was $6 million in today's money.
Damn.
Yeah. So Tesla, with his big boy money, he used it to build labs in New York and just continue his life's work with experimentation. Now, this is great for Westinghouse because they were able to stay afloat, but it didn't really prove to be a financially wise decision for Tesla. He continued to have financial issues for the rest of his life. Despite that, wealthy and famous people like Mark Twain, who's a good friend of Tesla's, often visited his labs. He went on to collect over 300 patents, including early neon lighting. What would we do without the open sign at our favorite bar?
I don't know, but I really want a neon light for our dining room.
Yeah, we need to get one. They're
Desperately.
pretty expensive.
They're so expensive. In one of my college houses, we wanted to get a neon light and didn't because it's so expensive.
Yeah, let's just
They're
put
not
our
cheap.
intentions out into the universe and maybe we'll find one at Goodwill.
Yeah.
That happened to me with a shirt, actually. There was a top similar to it last year at Target that I didn't buy, and I regretted it forever until yesterday.
Nice.
But anyway, early neon lighting, bladeless turbines for automobiles, remote controlled boats. Literally, he controlled this remote controlled boat, and people were like, literally, that's witchcraft. Like, they thought it was either witchcraft or that there was a little monkey inside of the boat that he trained to guide it.
I mean, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, even now.
Yeah.
I don't know how it
Yeah,
works.
who knows?
He pioneered.
It's impossible to know.
There's no way to know. He pioneered X-ray technology and even cautioned about the harm that an X-ray can do to the human body. So he's a man ahead of his time. Now, he's a genius, but he really lacked the interest in marketing his inventions. I don't really blame him, but like, he should have hired someone to do this legal work. And it really came to bite him in the butt because Tesla came up with the idea for radio in 1892, and he had been working on it for a couple years. He was ready to make history again and send the first radio transmission about 50 miles away. But before he could, tragedy struck. His work, unpatented, was burnt in a building fire. And so he worked hard. He worked for 2 years after that to get back to where he was, but other people were quick behind his trail. An Italian inventor, Marconi, had also been working on something similar to radio, and he had gotten the patent secured in Italy. So this is great for Marconi, but he tried to get patents in the US, and they were like, no, this is Tesla's idea. Y'all are going to have to work this out amongst yourselves. So in 1901, Marconi made the actual first transatlantic radio message with 17 of Tesla's patents. Yeah. And guess who's back? Back again. It's Thomas Edison. And he's ready to throw money at Marconi's project. So with Edison's support, the U.S. Patent Office actually flip-flopped, and they allowed Marconi's radio patent in the U.S. And so Edison not only profited off this partnership, but Marconi won a Nobel Prize in 1911 for his invention of the radio.
Damn.
Yeah. Tesla was super chill and honestly wished Marconi well up until he was like, oh yeah, Marconi, he's a great guy and he's using 17 of my patents. Wink. But everything kind of went downhill until Marconi got the miscredited Nobel Prize. Tesla was pissed.
Yeah.
I would be too.
Same.
So he sued Marconi. The court proceedings were nothing short of long, drawn-out proceedings, as they were longer than Tesla's coil. Womp, womp, womp.
Gotta say, I'm so sorry, Hayley. But
I
like
know,
the other
you're
joke better.
drifting. Well, that wasn't actually it. That was another one. It turns out I have two in here.
Okay.
So maybe I can redeem myself.
Okay. I'm ready.
So
I
anyway,
am drifting though.
okay, wake up.
Oh,
we're almost
okay,
done.
okay,
We're almost
okay.
done. Okay. So these court proceedings, they lasted years and years and years, and they were only resolved until they were resolved in Tesla's favor 8 months after he died. And this was only because Marconi was suing the U.S. government for using his radio patents. And they were like, oh, you know what? Let's just give these patents to Tesla.
If we give it to this dead guy, you can't sue us.
Yeah. So there was that. Now, a little bit more on Tesla before he died. He's well known for the Tesla coil. And I'm talking about the invention here, ladies. So settle down. Is that one better than the other one that I did?
I don't know.
It was better than the other one I did.
I'm not gonna say it's worse. Yeah.
Alex might have taken the cake on this one, so
yeah, I think it did.
Whatever. Have you seen a picture of Tesla's coil?
I have not.
Because it's cray.
It's a big coil.
It's a big coil with a bunch of like lightning bolts shooting from it, basically. So really his dream overall was for electricity to be used without wires. And we haven't realized this even in 2020, but his solution to this was the Tesla coil. His objective was to produce electricity wirelessly. He ended up buying land on Long Island where he erected a massive wooden structure. He named it Wardenclyffe Tower, and he planned on it being able to help people make phone calls across the globe, give accurate timekeeping, global music distribution. Imagine being able to give like night classes playlist to everyone, and then they become interested.
We can.
But I mean, without their consent, just blast it through all the speakers.
Okay.
And also, it would have been able to give marine directions and their exact location without even using a compass. So it was pretty lit, or it would have been anyway. But investors pulled out when they realized there'd be no profits from the tower since it couldn't be regulated. It would have been free power for all.
That's so dumb because it definitely could be profitable
How?
and regulated. by running ads.
I mean,
if you can run an ad
in all electrical power for the entire world,
run an ad to everyone in the world, you can definitely make money.
Right. Bring back the coil.
Yeah.
Bring back the coil. So yeah, for them, they didn't really think of that. This really fueled his financial issues. He continued on with this idea for years, but eventually his mental health was poor and his debt had climbed high, and that really led to another mental break. Wardenclyffe was foreclosed on in 1915 and eventually torn down by the owner. Unfortunately, it would be so cool to go and visit it today. Yeah. I wish we could. Now, Tesla's mental health never really bounced back. He lived in hotels. He ended up taking care of pigeons daily. Cute. And would like feed them all the food that he had left.
I used to work at this place and I'd walk down this street and there was this homeless person who it must have been his entire life to like take care of pigeons. And it was kind of crazy. He would like feed the pigeons and his whole body from his head to his feet was covered in pigeons, and there was a mass of pigeons around the ground, like in a perfect circle around him all the time.
Oh my God.
And I'd see him every day on my walk to work. They loved him so much. Aww. It was wild.
So that's similar to Edison. His final years were not Edison. Well, maybe. Fuck. I don't know. But Tesla's final years were spent in the New Yorker hotel where the Westinghouse Group actually paid his rent after seeing the conditions he was previously living in. He died at the age of 86 in his hotel room. And like I said, we have a lot to thank him for. The AC currents that he invented and worked through power our grid today. We have radio, we have remotes, we have wireless messaging, X-ray, robotics. And so with that, I'm going to cite my sources. We have the Department of Energy, Discovery UK, CIBSE Group, PBS, The Life Group, Tesla Universe, and that is my lesson.
All right. Well, thank you, Hayley. Thank you, Tesla. If you want to take advantage of AC currents, you can rate, review, and subscribe us on Apple Podcasts. You can also vote for us for Best Memphis Podcast using the link in the show notes or on our Instagram bio. Thank you guys for listening. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.